I am Tanner Smith, and this presentation is all about psychology. During this presentation, we'll discuss psychology as a whole and how important it is to our everyday lives. Also, we'll cover the occupation itself and what it entails to utilize psychology to help others. We'll go over different beliefs about psychology and whether they're fact or fiction. Now, what is psychology? Psychology is the study of the mind and behavior. It is closely linked to philosophy, sociology, and anthropology. The subject exists in many forms in the world around us. You can find psychology in classrooms, research labs, and mental health offices. It is even used to develop the advertisements we see on our screens and in the paper. Psychology can be utilized to improve mental health and better understand those we interact with. Those who choose to work in psychology often specialize in a particular subfield. These branches are not limited to, but include clinical psychology, personality psychology, cognitive psychology, social psychology, and developmental psychology. Which type of psychologist you see could depend on what problems you're facing. First is clinical psychology. This is the subfield of psychology that primarily involves observation. There's also a great deal of assessment and working with clients to improve themselves. Clinical psychologists can also be appointed by a court, not just sought out by clients. Next is personality psychology. Personality psychology has to do with human behavior primarily. It focuses heavily on our personalities with an emphasis in proving that we're all different. Our entire personalities often vary due to psychology. Cognitive psychology focuses on how we think. It also touches on how we speak and perceive the environment around us. Our attention span and memory have a lot to do with this. Social psychology. This deals with how everything we think, do, and feel is impacted by the sudden inclusion of a social context. We often let social context affect us, even when we're alone. We like to imagine interactions and let social norms get to our heads. Last, developmental psychology. This branch studies growth throughout the human lifespan. It usually deals with emotional growth, but can include physical growth in relation to how we perceive it. How we think, act, and feel changes constantly as we get older. So, what is a psychologist? A psychologist is a human service professional that studies different behaviors and processes in relation to the subfield they're involved in. They observe, interpret, record, and assess individuals and their connection to each other and the environment around them. Psychologists need to have patience, no pun intended, compassion, communication skills, and a great understanding of people. As a profession, psychologists work with patients and individually, conducting research. To work in psychology, a doctoral degree is often needed, as well as a license. As of 2020, median pay was roughly $82,000 annually. There are nearly 180,000 psychologists around the country, and around 13,000 jobs are projected to be available in psychology each year. There are multiple perspectives that psychologists take on to help increase their understanding of the individuals they care for. These perspectives include biological perspective, cognitive perspective, behavioral perspective, evolutionary perspective, humanistic perspective. There are plenty of things thought to be true of psychology that just aren't. This is mainly due to media consumption and incomplete knowledge. Psychology is depicted in many different films, television shows, and novels. The way it is shown is accurate at times, but can fail to represent the bigger picture. Some common misconceptions. Psychology is more than mental health. While therapy has a lot to do with psychology, there is also researching, teaching, and consulting that can be done. Psychology is not merely common sense, as common sense is not all that common. Or else, don't you think we'd eat healthier? Psychologists rely on scientific methods, observation, and case studies to challenge misconceptions and use their knowledge to benefit those in need. Both psychologists and psychiatrists sound similar, and they deal with similar things like depression and mental stress, but they are fundamentally distinct. Psychiatrists are doctors and can prescribe medication, while psychologists mainly offer counsel. Thank you for watching and listening.